name is Faisal Khan, and in this audio recording and screen recording, we want to discuss banking for foreign OEMs established as US incorporated companies who are working with marketplaces. So the whole thing starts from here, where a customer from, let's say, in this example, we're using China because China happens to be one where the largest demand comes from, and we could equally substitute China for Australia or Hong Kong or India or Pakistan or Tanzania, what have you. But really, the thing is where a customer comes into our portal, and what we do is we do a little bit of background check on them, get some KYC information, and we then would like to get them registered in the US, either as an LLC or an incorporated company, a Inc Corp, C Corp, S Corp, either in Delaware or in Wyoming. We have found a few companies to work with. We haven't sort of finalized the agreement, but these are specialist companies who do all this thing, who do customer company incorporation, who are familiar with the identity documents that are provided by foreigners. They will also do EIN, which is the employer identification number from the IRS, and make be a registered agent and so forth. Once the company is registered, they come to our portal, etc., and then they are provided with a bank account because they are now a US company. They would provide all the information with respect to the UBOs, the ultimate benefit, beneficial owners, and all the other requirements that the bank may ask. But essentially, they come to us through this portal, and they are assigned a bank account, a bank account with an ABA, American Banking Association number, or also known as a routing number. So, who assigns this? Well, the bank and the trust that we would like to work with assigns this, and that's what they're doing. And what they're doing is assigning each customer, and this is depicting each customer, that they're giving them an individual account, and they would be treated no different than any other American company that they may have an account with, in this bank and so forth. And what are these customers doing? Well, these customers are predominantly sellers. They work on various marketplaces. So this is the column for marketplaces, depicting marketplaces. And a typical marketplace could be an Amazon. They could be selling things on Amazon, on Shopify, on Etsy, on online store. On Amazon, they could be selling physical products as well as digital products. On others, like for example Upwork or Fiverr or Elance and so forth, they could be doing services. They could be making logos, they could be making websites, coding it, etc. So they're basically solution providers. They're all businesses, remember. So who would use this service? So let's start from there. This is where the US customer would come in. This is a US business, a US individual that comes in, interfaces it through the to the marketplace, and provides payment. The payment method is governed by the marketplace themselves. The marketplace could be giving you a credit card option, a debit card option, an ACH, PayPal, etc. This payment between the US customer and the marketplace, we have nothing to do with them. This is between the marketplace and the US customer. Anyway, so the customer pays the marketplace. The customer over here, which is the solution provider, provides the service, and Amazon collects money on their behalf. Amazon then says, okay, I need to transfer. I have got, let's say, $10,000 of yours. How do I transfer it to you? The customer or the supplier over here provides an bank account and an ABA to Amazon. Amazon uses the banking ACH network, and it arrives in the financial institution. Once the balance arrives in the financial institution, the appropriate credit is given to customer A. At some point in time, the customer A may want to withdraw $7,000 of their money, or maybe they want to withdraw $2,000 of their money, or whatever it is, and withdraw it internationally. So in this case, the bank and the trust is already working with a licensed MSP, with money transmitter licenses, and an FX broker. They could very well be the same company. They could be two different companies, but they've been pre-screened. They've had their due diligence done, and they are integrated with the bank and trust. So when the customer A over here says, I want to take $7,000 on off from my account and convert them into Chinese yuan, so from here again we go to the banking channel through the for the we go through the bank through the banking channel, which is the ACH, and we transfer the $7,000 off the bank and trust into the MSP with the money transmitter licenses account. So now the transaction is basically, has been handed over to the company that will be doing the international transaction. Here, the MSP, could work with an FX provider. They could work directly. They could be the MSP themselves could be the FX provider as well. So they take the money, they do the conversion, and then they forward it using the path that they have to their settlement provider in China, and where they want the transaction to terminate. So in this example, or in this case, they may be using a licensed bank in China, or a payment gateway in China, or a licensed money transmitter services business in China, to whom they hand over the transaction, and the end credit is done into the company or individual's bank account. So this is how the flow works. Company registers, they register, they get an account with the trust. When they get an account with the trust, they register this banking information with Amazon. Customers come in, they pay Amazon, Amazon pays them using the ACH network. Customer has access to funds, and they can take custody of funds and hand it over to an MSP that specializes in international transfers. And the international transfer, the conversion is done from USD to CNY, and they use a licensed financial institution or a non-banking financial institution to deliver the funds into China for the end credit. The customer also have, because it's a regular bank account, the customer can also send this money to any other US bank account, should they so desire. This could be a business bank account, could be an individual bank account, doesn't matter. But for our purposes, the international transactions will always be B2B and no P2P transactions. So we're not taking money from a person and transferring it to a person. We're always taking money from a business, in this case, Amazon, Shopify, Etsy, etc. Or we could be taking money from a customer directly. I could have an online store, I could be accepting a card payment directly, and so forth. The payment comes in from the customer, and then I can push it out to the business over here in China that I may have. I will never, or rather we should not allow a customer to make a payment, receive the payment, and then send it to another individual. It makes no sense for an individual to have a company incorporated in the US and be themselves be an individual in China, and so forth. So this is what the end goal is of having, banking foreign OEMs, who are established as US incorporated or LLCs. As an incorporation, they could be a C corp or an S corp. As an LLC, they could be a Wyoming or a Delaware LLC, and they work with various marketplaces in the US. And the whole goal is to provide them a legal framework to get registered, a legal framework to do business in the United States, and that goes without saying, providing them access to banking through a licensed bank or a trust company that they would like to work with. And that's it. So this is the whole ecosystem. And like I said, no B2B, it's only B2B. There's no cash involved in any of this part. There's no cash transaction involved. There is no card transaction involved as far as this entity is concerned. We may do issuance later on. We haven't decided yet. The customer hasn't decided yet. But right now we limit it to B2B. And the reason we bring this entity in is because a lot of companies or institutions offer this part, but they're not able to offer the international settlement part, especially when you look at exotic, especially when you look at China, Nigerian naira, Pakistani rupee, Bangladeshi taka, Indian rupee, Filipino pesos, Tanzanian shilling, Kenyan shilling. So then you need a money transmitter license holder with the appropriate licenses, with the appropriate partnerships to deliver these transactions abroad, and that is why we are having this this showcasing such an example. And like I said, China just happens to be one of the countries. We'll start with China, and we'll probably add more. But this is the gist of what we are trying to do and explain. Thank you.